Steve, we're here taking a look at Kill Knight, and this is a really tough as nails twin-stick roguelite shooter. It kind of rolls off the tongue, but what this game is a top-down kind of experience similar to what we get in Brotato or Vampire Survivors perhaps, but this is incredibly complicated in a way that those games are not. So before we get into this, I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. Because I think the impact of the combat is really, really good, but there's just so many other systems on top of that we're going to get into. What about yourself?
Yep, I'm like you there, Scott. I found this extremely hard, very difficult, but I did have a lot of fun. I found it very frustrating, but it kept pulling me in for more. And for that, I'm actually a little bit lower than you. I'm going for a 6.5, as I struggle big time to start off with. It is tough. It's just the enemies that just keep coming at you. You do the basic tutorial. You've got the option to do the tutorial, and it gives you different weapons you can go through. So you start off with the pistols as your, I would say, your primary weapon. Then you have a heavy weapon as well that you have to collect ammo for, as well as swords, as well as then a special maneuver you could do, which is very important because that one there is the one that actually gives you your health, and you will need it.
Yeah, this is an incredibly multi-layered aspect of a roguelite shooter. I'm not sure what the term for that Brotato Vampire Survivor is, but what it is not is a twin-stick shooter. So in this game, you touched on it, the constant hordes of enemies is something you're going to have to deal with and contend with, but I found that the game is kind of interesting in that it's not so much about crushing everything and getting to the end of that level. That is important, of course. It will give you a score based on that. But what the real progress of the game is similar to Brotato. Sorry to keep bringing that up, but it's that you progress through to complete challenges. And these challenges unlock different items, different equipment that you can equip now for your character to kind of play it in a different fashion. And that's something that I found I had to do quite often because that tutorial really was helpful. I had to go back a couple times to the tutorial and look back, well, you know, what does inflictum mean, and kind of relearn how to take advantage of that. But that's really, it highlights the complexity of this game that is both a gift and a curse because, like you said, I'm having a really fun time, but I'm having a really hard time. But then on the other flip side of that is you figure out how to play the game. Okay, if I need to spam the heavy weapons a little bit more, I'm going to have to use my sword a little bit more. And you might start to unlock things that kind of go together and form a build that'll get you around those issues. But all of that to say, at the end of the day, I still had a hard time.
Yes, and I just want to sort of mention, because we sort of talked about Vampire Survivors, that you actually have a bit more of a play area to move around to run away from these hordes. Unfortunately, in this one, it is very limited because you don't have a big play area to maneuver around in. And especially as you progress, yes, you do get the same enemies I've noticed keep reappearing, whether it's certain spiders that will shoot fireballs at you, or certain creatures that will disappear and then reappear at you or charge attack you. But they also are like, as you progress, that you do get spinning blades, like spinning tops that will come towards you, or then you'll also find laser beams that will, that move that you have to kind of dash through them, otherwise it takes your health down. But again, what I'm saying is it's not on a big playing area, it's all confined in one small little area.
Yeah, I do like how the maps kind of shift over time. Yeah. But they do always stay tight. They do always stay hectic because that just really seems to be the flavor of the game.
Yes, and also we talked about with the grinding as well. I'm a little bit disappointed on when you do die from the points that you receive if you do want to upgrade. And you did sort of touch on it like before we sort of done the review, is they want you to actually unlock the different weapons by actually completing the objectives. But there is some hell of a grind to get there though.
Yeah, it is a very, very tough set of challenges, and I think that's really the focal point around the game because, like you say, you do get points, kind of currency, to spend on those upgrades instead of the challenges, but I found it gives you just such a pittance. Each time you fail, it just gives you a tiny, tiny fraction, and that's really where the game started to grate on me. It became a little too difficult, a little too frustrating. Although I really liked that gameplay loop, so I kept coming back around for a little bit more punishment.